Hey everyone, hi Archit. Uh,
Hi.
Hi, this is Samrat once again. I welcome to, and I'm the co-chair of Baseline Protocol. I welcome you all to another episode of the Baseline Show in India. We do this every Saturday at 6 p.m. This is the official office hours for Baseline community in India and abroad. People from Southeast Asia have been joining in already, so I'm glad. Welcome you guys from Singapore, Malaysia. I've been getting messages as well. Thank you so much for joining in. Today we have our guest who is a second time guest on the Baseline Show, Archit Srivastava. He's Director of Strategic Sales with Earthwood Private Limited. He's one of the champions that I know in the climate economy, in the carbon economy. And today we are going to be talking about some really interesting things which he's come across in the very recently concluded COP26 summit in Glasgow. And today, Archit joins us from London in UK, where they've recently launched their new office. So, congratulations, Archit. All power to you. Tell us more about what's going on. First, let's start with London. How's London? How's the experience of setting up business in London?
Thank you, Samrat, for your kind words and the introduction. And yeah, London is cold as always, gloomy as always. Nothing new here. And setting up here is quite exciting for us because lots of our clients are based out of the UK and a bunch of them in the European Union as well. So this gives us just a little bit more of a strategic edge, and being closer to your clients is never going to hurt, right? So after Brazil, Seoul, and China, we thought of getting closer to somewhere in the UK. So UK has also come up with their own emission trading scheme. It's called UK ETS. So they've got very specific requirements of the auditors who can function in this space. So we are just getting more and more aligned with them. Looking forward to this one. But setup wise, it has been a rather smooth journey for us. The CAs, the chartered accountants, the CS, etc. Everybody has been super helpful, and most of the regulatory requirements are fulfilled. And now we are looking for some office spaces. So if you got any suggestions in the area, so I'll be happy to explore them.
Exciting, exciting. No, I will connect you to some people I know who've been there for a while, and in fact, just this morning I had a call with somebody, So yeah, happy to refer as friends. For people who are watching us on YouTube and today either live or in future, please do subscribe to the Baseline Protocol YouTube channel. We make a lot of announcements using these videos, and we host special guests like Archit every week on the Baseline Show, where we talk about various industries, just like it's climate economy today. We pick up industries. We look at what are the data silos present in that industry, and try and solve problems using baseline protocol. And also, it's at the moment baseline protocol is in that zone where we're trying to educate people, inform people, make more believers come and join us. So do join us in our communities. We are very open, all of us. We welcome uh, people from all backgrounds. So go to baseline-protocol.org. You will get a section called Get Involved. So click on Get Involved, and you'll see all the links to where all you can get involved. You can also join our Slack channel, where we are all very responsive. Ask questions. No question is a dumb question. So please ask questions, and you will get a response for sure. Okay, now back to Archit. Thanks so much, Archit, for letting us know. And it's exciting that somebody is setting up office in a new country. I'm glad to know that you are aligning more to your clients and of course the UK's evolving carbon scene. So tell us a little more about Glasgow. What's happening in Glasgow? Was it interesting? Not interesting? Was it expected? Not expected? How was the turnout?
Yeah, Glasgow was really good. The world has been waiting for a climate deal to happen since the last, I don't know, 5 years or something. But it was getting delayed and even more delayed with the pandemic hitting us last year. So this COP was cancelled, and it was supposed to happen last year. And now, finally, there is some good news that the global leaders have come together and actually agreed on something which they want to do. Uh, it has come up with its own set of challenges, but yeah, I'm just glad that the market based mechanism of the carbon credits and the entire industry, that was it was something that the world was looking forward to. But now we have a path. We now have a clear cut path of action, and now it's more up to the countries to designate their offices with respect to the Paris Agreement, and then going forward, lots of exciting times ahead. So, like I mentioned earlier as well to you, that there are two sides of this market. One is the compliance side, and one is the voluntary side. So, voluntary side market has been on a rise since the last 9 months or 12 months or something. So the carbon credit prices are going through the roof. Nobody expected such a jump in such a short time.
Okay,
And now the compliance side is also coming back with respect to the Paris Agreement and the United Nations.
okay, okay.
So yeah, it would be really interesting to see how we develop the new projects, the new protocols, the new mechanisms. The countries coming up with their own emission trading schemes.
Yeah,
China has just piloted, and then going forward, the aviation industry is also piloting its scheme called Corsia.
yeah.
So it's a requirement that all the international airlines have to offset their emissions 100%.
Okay.
So lots happening in this world, lots coming up, and with the impetus that we have now, I think there are a lot of exciting times ahead
So a lot
for.
of a lot of our viewers are technology people, and yeah, it's a mix of tech and business people. So would you be okay? I mean, we in the last episode we had you, we were talking about ESG in general,
Yeah.
but in this one, could you be a little more elaborate? Could you just take 5 minutes and elaborate a little? If somebody wanted to start off their understanding of the
Mhm.
carbon credits. Why is it really important? What is voluntary? What is compliance? Why are people even bothered about something which is happening in Glasgow? So, can you just maybe start from there? Give a little introduction of you know how what's the basic concept? Why should people care? And then maybe a little more further reading where people could go and find more information. So yeah, over to you.
Okay, so yeah, so the carbon markets, two sides to it, the voluntary and the compliance. So it's a clear demand supply game, and nothing. It's very simple to understand that if you are having any activity, in fact, if you are going to the office, so there is a certain amount of emission that has happened, and that becomes your footprint from your travel from A to B, or even if you're making coffee at home, if you're cooking rice at home. So whatever be the activity, there has to be certain amount of emission attached to it. Now that is the footprint that you arrive at. If you think of it from the larger perspective, like you want to calculate your emissions for a year. So whatever business travels you have done, whatever food you've eaten, whatever clothes you have worn, so etc etc etc, electricity burnt, etc. So all this will be your carbon footprint. Now to offset this, you require carbon credits essentially. And there are other ways to reduce the carbon emissions in the first place, but whatever is left over, so you require carbon credits to offset that and become carbon neutral or net zero in the long term. So, on the other hand, this is one aspect of it, and on the other side, there are project developers who are uh, doing something additionally extraordinary in terms of negating out the baseline. I mean, not this baseline, but the baseline of the emissions. So, for example. You require a certain amount of coal to generate 1 megawatt hours of electricity, and that's one way of doing it. The other one is to install solar panels, let's say. So then you are generating the same amount of electricity but only cleaner, because the emissions have not happened as much as they would have while burning so much of coal. So that project developer is entitled to claim carbon credits from various mechanisms like the
So the
United
good
Nations.
guys are rewarded. The good guys are
The good
rewarded.
guys are rewarded, yes. The good guys are rewarded.
Absolutely. Okay.
So, and to make his project sustainable and durable in the long term, so that he keeps on doing more projects, so he sells these carbon credits to people like you who have just driven a car from your home to the office. So that's how the demand and the supply gets matched, and that's how everything is functioning in this carbon industry. And uh, two ways to look at it. The compliance side is more on the countries, like the signatories of the Paris Agreement. So there are approximately 200 countries who have signed up for this Paris Agreement protocol. And then there are individuals and companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft, Gucci, Veromoda, etc. So these guys have taken up carbon neutrality targets for themselves, especially after the power shift in the US. So all the majors over there, in fact, the oil and gas ones, they have also picked up targets for themselves to become carbon neutral by 2030, 35, 40, 50, etc. And eventually go on to claiming net zero. Interestingly, Microsoft has done something amazing, because you can calculate your emissions for the last 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, 20 years, but uh, they have gone a step ahead, and they have said that we will not only offset our business operations carbon emissions, but we will do this historically from the time that the inception happened. So, yeah, amazing in itself. I know. So,
That's
I
incredible.
mean,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, that's the kind of thought leadership and ambition is required from the rest of the world as well. So this is more on the voluntary side, because Microsoft does not have any compliance on its head to offset the emissions or even calculate the footprint, but they are going the extra mile to absolutely nullify all the emissions historically from their date of inception.
Hmm.
So then they require carbon credits again, and these are the project developers, for example, solar power project developers, or somebody who's distributing cook stoves for households in Africa, or getting clean water access to somebody in parts
Right.
of Africa where you require to boil the water so that it's drinkable. So if you're giving a water filter, so you're not required to boil the water, and then that's again reduction in the emissions. So that's how the carbon credits are generated, and that's how the carbon credits are bought, and this is where the game lies.
So exciting. And then I think just reiterating, just dumbing it down for my audience. I think what's important is you could do it on your own, or
Yeah,
you could buy somebody else's good karma. it's,
yeah,
it's like that.
it
Uh,
is.
you could sponsor a project and good things happening somewhere else, while you may not be in a position to do what is required to sort of nullify your. So you're just netting off
Yeah,
while you're creating on one side, you sort of sponsor projects on the other side. It may be other side of the world also, right?
can be anywhere.
Can be anywhere. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And then so one side is this, and then there is this compliance side, as you said, that there are countries which have taken up
yeah.
goals as per the Paris Agreement. So So let's break it down a little. Where is how does this data flow? So you brought in a absolutely fantastic example of Microsoft, which is eliminating its lifetime carbon emission. That is
Absolutely.
that is absolutely amazing. So
Yeah.
what if somebody decided to do that? What are the steps? I mean, how would somebody fathom a project of that magnitude? Uh, where will I get the data from?
I don't know, but the thing is, as long as you have a paper trail, as long as you have some sort of records which are maintained, as long as you have some sort of a system in place. I mean, most of these companies are ISO certified with 9001 QMS or whatever. So it is mostly the data is available, but it is just about comprehending the data and presenting the data in a manner where it is actually meaningful, and that's how you can arrive at the with there are certain emission factors. For example, if you're uh, burning coal, with respect to you're burning anything else, plastic or tire or whatever. So there are emission factors attached to each of these. As long as the data is comprehensible, you will be able to arrive at the overall emissions which are there. But the challenge being, in fact, we were doing an assignment for one of these private equity firms from Mumbai. Even they wanted to nullify each of the years of emissions since their inception, and these were 20 years of data.
Okay.
And so yeah, it was quite amazing in itself, because when you look at India and the kind of data records that were maintained 20 years back, it was not so much, right? So that was one of the challenges that our team faced, that how do we get the accuracy of data, and then how do we ensure that this data is actually valid, and because you cannot go back in time so
That's
much. And
fine.
yeah, so that was one of the challenges that we faced, but I definitely think that with the help of technology you can probably suggest something for these guys.
That's exciting. That's exciting. And Arjit, you briefly touched upon it, in just a couple of minutes back, and we also saw some pictures from Earthwood social media handles. You were giving a presentation recently at COP26.
Oh
Uh,
yes,
so tell us a little more about Corsair. And I believe that was on Corsair, right?
that was on Corsia. Yes,
So
yes.
tell us a little more about what's Corsair and how is it important for us?
So, aviation industry accounts for roughly 12% of the global emissions, which is huge in itself. If aviation was a country, it would have been ranked 20th by the virtue of the GDP of being more than $600 billion. So that is the magnitude that we are looking at. And Corsia as a mechanism has just started off. It's the pilot phase that it's going on, and there are a lot of expectations around the Corsia scheme. Because it only targets the international emissions. The overseas flights are to be made carbon neutral. B, the challenge that we're facing here, or the expectations, the raising the bar or raising the emissions, whatever, whichever way we would like to put it. But in bigger countries like say India, China, Russia, US, where the domestic flights are so much that they are accounting for a lot of emissions by itself. So Corsia as a scheme does not focus on the domestic part as of now. I hope to see more on that in the near future. But yeah, as a step one, I think the maritime industry and the aviation industry, these guys are coming together to do at least start to do something about the emissions that have been getting into the environment. So this is phase one till 2023, which is pilot, and then the compliance kicks in from 2023 onwards. So all the international airlines like British Airways, Qatar Airways, Emirates, etc., whoever are operating more globally, so these will be required to offset their emissions. Another interesting fact about European Union again, because these guys have been the absolute leaders whenever it comes to climate change and stuff. So all the flights out of EU have started charging 17 euro cents per passenger kilometer, which is less than a price of coffee that you buy at the airport. So this has just started last year in September 2020, if I'm not wrong. So it's quite something in itself, because when you look at just 17 euro cents, it's absolutely nothing, but you are doing your bit, and that's how the ball gets rolling. And I always tell my folks around that sustainability is not costly, it's actually affordable, and it's just the way that you have to look at it. And you should just be ready for it, because as a major challenge across the companies in India. So first of all, the company wants to set up and then make more money and then pay the taxes, and then whatever is left, they will share, and then they will think about sustainability. Okay, I am left with two dimes, and then let's do something about it. So that's
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
which is more the inverse in case of you.
No, I think very well put. There are times when companies have to be, and now is the time, I think, where companies have to be more aware about
Uh,
sustainability. In fact, very recently, you know that I'm partner at Golden X Ventures,
yeah.
and we do a lot of thought leadership and innovation related work for several companies. So what we did few days back was there's a template called business model canvas where we define business models. uh, you and I, we've had a chat on the same template earlier. So we sort of created a V2 of business model canvas where we included a box of sustainability as well. So
Wow.
why? So it should get into your business planning.
Absolutely.
I think that is the stage to be, and that's why I'm also on the board of a B Corp. Now,
Yeah.
what we do where we do planning for that company, Caribou Solutions based in Canada, where we do planning for that company, we take sustainability into consideration in every decision that we take, uh, be it locations to be launched or be it even a few days back. We were given a small suggestion around handout. Let's have handouts in aircraft, let's have handouts at airplanes. So it's working for the migrant workers. So people we were talking to the government, and government people suggested to us that let's do handouts in at the airport, so that people know about the company and they can download the app and start using it. We said no, we would rather not waste all that paper. Let's just install standees with a QR code, and we will do and that's a very simple decision to take.
Absolutely.
uh, does absolutely nothing changes. People are still accessing the same QR code. It's just that instead of printing all those papers, and then, yeah, I don't know what happens to that paper once the app has been downloaded. Instead of that, we just put up a standee, and people can just use it for several years actually, if
Yeah.
it changes. So everybody carries a smartphone, and all smartphone are enabled with QR code reader. So simple decisions like these, I'm just giving an example, and people on the call, or viewers today or in future, can actually come up with many more innovative solutions.
It's
uh,
happening, Samrat. I mean, the QR code thing is happening because there are a lot of people at COP who were, not exchanging business cards.
yeah,
So they were just showing the QR code
yeah.
that was hanging around the lanyard, and that's how the business cards are getting exchanged now. So it's quite a thing in itself. I think I should do it for the next time.
No, no, absolutely. We should. So I've also started doing that since the past couple of years. Not because of COVID. I started it before COVID. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think, and then it was difficult to convince people. But you know what? I'm not handing you a physical card. I'm giving you a QR code. You scan it, and that's it. You have all my information, the information that you need to have to continue our conversation. Uh,
I hope they were not offended by that.
People were offended by that. They were like, and that's the thing with change. That's the change.
Yeah.
That's the thing. See, B Corps. Talking about B Corps, there are only 4,000 B Corps in the world. So not a
Hmm.
lot of people do get the rationale for our ideas, and why do we
Yeah.
really want to be sustainable, and why do we even care being a startup? Oh, you know what? Care about your revenues first, then you think about the environment. So that's
Yeah.
the stuff we've been hearing, but I think it just makes sense. As I said, we've modified the business model canvas. We've added an additional box to
Yeah.
sustainability, and that is something that is my commitment. That is Golden Next commitment, going to all our clients in future, that whenever we do business planning, we have that box right there. We are taking sustainability very seriously within this firm. I think it's a very small thing to do, but we are doing our part. As you said, that we should all do our part. So that is with that, let's move on to the next sort of question which I have with you, which is, will the reporting requirements change? Will anything change out of this COP26 that you attended? What were any learnings towards that? Any pointers, suggestions that you bring back towards reporting requirements? Because if you remember from our last episode which we did on ESGs, we were talking about data silos and how information will pass on from one entity to the other. You also informed us about how auditors rely on a lot of paperwork and self declarations. So, is there any change in that regime? Is there any new way or new lens of looking at information, or are people expressing concerns relying on paper trail and self declarations?
Yeah, so there are few changes that have been just learned, and as we go, we learn more about them. So there's one side of the carbon side of the project, that how many emissions or is being reduced by a certain kind of activity. But now United Nations is moving more towards the sustainable development goals, and it's more like the prices of the carbon credits are also being driven by the number of sustainable development goals that a project is able to capture, in its overall gamut of things. So as an example, I can tell you that renewable energy projects, let's say, are the ones which cater to the least number of sustainable development goals. Community-based projects like cook stoves and water filters and etc., they are having slightly more social and environmental quotient in it, and they capture more SDGs. And the most number of SDGs are captured in the nature-based solutions, where actually abatement happens, where carbon capture, soil sequestration, forestry, agroforestry, mangroves, seagrass. People are developing more and more about that. So um, that is how the prices of the carbon credits are also getting defined. And now companies like Apple, let's say, they want their ESG scores to be as good as possible, top notch. So they will end up buying the most expensive of the carbon credits, because they are capturing more and more SDGs in it. Whereas one carbon credit is just one carbon credit. It's just 1 ton of emission reduction in CO2. So you can get the same thing for $3, and you can end up paying $30 for the same thing. But it's all dependent on the number of SDGs. So this as a platform, with what I just said. So now United Nations is getting into the uh, heavier requirements of reporting, so to say, in terms of SDGs. And also, what I would definitely like to see is that, if I come up with a project and say, hey, my project has got 4 SDGs in it, and UN says, okay, cool, go ahead. And but even if I'm just touching those 4 SDGs, that doesn't really help, right? So the data has to flow in a manner where I can actually quantify the impact of each of the 4 SDGs that I'm capturing in my project. So it can be a weighted average, let's say. It can be, a quotient where uh, say SDG 1, I'm capturing 80% of it. So zero point 0.8 is my score on SDG 1. SDG 2, I'm doing, say, 30%. So zero point 0.3 is my score on SDG 2. So going on so much and so forth, I'll be able to actually, bring more transparency to my project, and, attract more investors and have a better deal with the buyers or whatever. So it just increases the credibility of the project. So this is where we are headed now, and this is kind of a shift that we have been seeing in the overall market scenario, in the last, say, 6 months or 9 months or something.
Yes.
So that is something very exciting to go on with in the near future, I think.
Okay, very interesting. And this is all just excitement. I don't know my aircon or what, but something is causing this fog. So interestingly, what you also said, and here is a question which may be intriguing for some of our viewers, which is when you say more expensive carbon credits. So what really drives the price of carbon credits? So one factor you said, uh, you know, the more SDGs it touches,
Yeah.
the more valuable it becomes. But how frequently does this price change? Is it too frequent? Is it decided once for a lifetime for the entire for the entire life cycle, and it just goes off? It stays with the carbon credit till the end. What's the life cycle of a carbon credit? Let's just talk about that.
So, yes, you're right when you say that the number of SDGs captured in a project will determine the prices of a carbon credit that the project is generating. And also, the other factors are the location, the kind of community that the project is serving to, what kind of local employment has the project generated, etc., etc., etc. So, and what kind of social labels and the environmental labels, so to say, is the project catering to. So that's how the prices of the carbon credits are decided, and also the vintages, as in if I'm trying to buy a carbon credit from 2013, 14, it will be definitely more definitely cheaper than what I will get from vintages of 21 or 20, because recent vintages are more in demand. And yeah, so the life cycle of a carbon credit, so as soon as you are generating clean electricity, you are attributable to some carbon credits, which you can claim from either the gold standard or the VCS and United Nations as well, going forward now. So once these carbon credits are in your bank, you can trade them off to a broker, to an open market supplier, or even to the end consumer. End consumer means somebody who has taken up the target on its head that I'll become carbon neutral by so and so. And so what happens is that the carbon credit dies when the retirement happens, and only then you are able to claim the carbon neutrality. Because if I sell to you, then you sell to somebody else, and they sell to somebody else again. So one carbon credit is being exchanging hands three times in its lifespan before it gets retired. So the end one who is retiring the carbon credit, is the one who gets the right to claim the carbon neutrality part. So people are having all kinds of business models. There are brokers in the market as well. There are exchanges as well who publish online data as to what kind of vintages from what kind of projects from what kind of locations are getting traded and bought and sold at what prices. Where is the demand coming from? What kind of carbon credits are in demand? So there are portals, there are platforms, and using the blockchain tech, etc., the verified information of the trades that are happening. So yeah, it's there. So prices are determined very dynamically. It's not a fixed price that you can have for one carbon credit for, let's say, whatever time you want to hold on to it. It will change basis the market. It's a very clear cut demand supply game. If today forestry projects are in demand, then yes, the prices may go up even further from $30 a ton. And renewable energy projects are now starting to get in demand because rest of the credits have just exhausted from the market. Everybody has just bought them off. So now renewable energy credits, what were getting traded in the range of, say, 35 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents 1.5 years back, now they're getting traded at say $4 or even $5. So it's quite a jump in itself.
That's quite a range. You said 35
Yeah,
cents and $30.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's that's a very wide spectrum. Okay, and interesting. So, if and we've spoken about a lot of domain knowledge, and thank you so much, Archit, for being patient and explaining us how do we really fathom this whole industry and the whole carbon economy, so to say. Is there any place where people could go and learn more about this and sort of the data exchanges which happen? Any YouTube channels, any reading materials, any websites?
Yeah, so there is a bunch of information available on our company website as well. There is a blog section, so there are 4 or 5 blogs as of now. But yeah, we encourage our employees to just write and come up with new ideas and stuff. So that's gonna happen. So the blog section is gonna get filled. But for now, just to as a novice in the industry, if somebody is just reading through, so they will get a fair idea. So the website is called earthhood.in, EARTHOOD, and there is a blog section at the bottom of the page. You can definitely go there, have a look, and talks about lots of stuff, policies, and the impact of coronavirus on the emissions or the air pollution and stuff. So. Uh, Few interesting blogs out there. And then apart from that, there
Right.
are for the prices of the carbon credits. So there are a couple of platforms like the CBL markets. CBL, these guys are based out of US, and then there is Air Carbon Exchange, which is doing something amazing on the blockchain tech as well. You can just browse through these websites, and you'll get a fair idea about the overall thing.
Amazing, amazing. So I just put up this. I just put up your website
It's
for
single edge. Single edge.
it's single H. Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
made that blooper. No worries. We'll quickly edit it. So hide it first, and then we do this. Okay. There you go.
Yeah. That's the one.
So then people can come on your website and read the blogs, educate themselves more about uh, the carbon economy and try and understand how emissions happen and how they're traded. Let's talk in the line. And now this is the last section of the show, Archit, where we start talking about baselining. And so, what do you think between the last time that you were on the show and today? Do you now start seeing more data silos in what you do, and do you think baseliners should come in and work with you sometime?
Definitely. I mean, I do see a lot of opportunities that I can just throw my doubts at you all the time. So I'll keep disturbing you more on this one. But yes, definitely we have seen like the assignment that I was talking about for the private equity firm from Mumbai.
Right.
So the problem was that they had data, but it was not comprehensible, so to say, in terms of the carbon footprint. Now, how do we solve that? Because back in the days, they did not have computers, they did not have online records of something, and it was more like a you know business travel, let's say, for an example, that they did. So they do have the hard copies of the tickets that were generated.
Okay.
But let's say, I mean, one of the challenges that I can just mention here is that a printout of the ticket is not a proof of travel. The proof of travel is the boarding pass.
Voting card.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So in some cases, or in most of the cases, the boarding passes were not available. So how do I, as an auditor, or how do my team just verify that whether the travel actually happened or not, whether these are your emissions or not,
Yeah.
or whether you cancel the ticket after getting the printout done. So all kinds of possibilities.
Yeah.
But so
One
with
auditor,
that,
one auditor to the other auditor, you could just go to their accounts and check what were the tickets which were actually paid for.
yeah, that's okay. I mean, you make the payment as soon as you book a ticket, right? And then you take a printout of it. And let's say you missed the flight, you did not travel at all.
Right.
Uh, so if a boarding pass is not there, then how do I justify the
Right.
travel actually happened?
Right. Right. But in your
Food,
case, I think
food for
principal
thought.
Yeah, I think in principle they are inclined to not show you stuff which did not happen. So principally, they will not show you flights which are not taken, right? Because they
Yeah,
want to have lesser carbon in the history. Uh,
yeah,
because it will cost them today in today's money to
yes,
offset
yes.
it, which is
Hmm.
which is important. But yeah, go on. So sorry, I interjected.
No, yeah. So that's where I see, uh, a type of data silo that's come across to me. Data is there, but it's not there. So how do we resolve that? So we have to just wrap our head around this one a little bit, and yeah, like I mentioned the hotel sector. So these guys uh, have a commitment to maintain the privacy of the guests that they have over
Yeah,
there, probably staying or just dining in or just dropping somebody off or whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, with with no data, you cannot take an informed decision. You cannot draw a pathway. So it there has got to be a way where you can uh, reveal some part of the information while hiding the rest of it, which is confidential, which is secretive, etc., etc., etc.
Hmm.
But to be actionable in the field of sustainability, you need to have data. So so I mean, for any industry for that matter, but all the more important here. So that's
I
where.
think that's a common theme which comes out when we talk to experts like yourself on this show. That while as time passes by, the company also sort of matures in the ways
Yeah.
they capture and retain and analyze their data. Uh, Plus, there are all these multi-party workflows. I think Baseline works best in multi-party workflows where we are trying to talk to other companies via systems. So there may be our vendors, there may be our customers. We are integrating our systems with. So that those are the scenarios which are best, and I think in capturing the customer as well. What happens in the case of a supply chain? So what if a supplier has produced something uh, in a more sustainable way, and giving it to you as an input to your product? So do you get to use their carbon credits, or do they get to claim their carbon credits? How does this work?
So the carbon revenue is attributable at either of the ends. So if I am drawing that advantage, then I have to make the payment accordingly to my supplier.
Okay.
And if he wants to retain the carbon attributes of the project, then the prices of the product will be different, definitely. So because otherwise it's just double counting.
Yeah.
I get to claim that, hey, I bought so much of green products, and then that guy is also claiming some carbon revenue, or in any manner. I mean, it cannot be carbon credits, but just as a markup on his product that he's doing so much for sustainability and so
Because
on and
of
so forth.
future potential value of the carbon credits, which the end company will sell, right? Because of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So ideally, I mean, this is another challenge that the industry faces of double counting. So, as per the best practices and the guidelines that were given out by United Nations since eternity. So, the carbon attributes need to be just claimed at one place. Either it can be at the source or it can be at the destination. So, as an example, sorry for that. As an example, the countries are now getting more and more confused, and it's a complex thing when you
Yeah.
declare as a country that I'm signing the Paris Agreement and I want to be carbon neutral by 2070, like India said. So now what happens is that the government or the country by in itself cannot have so many solar power plants, for an example.
Yeah.
Now they are going to give out these tenders and they are going to allocate these projects to different developers. Now these developers, if they are not well informed, they will just say, okay, you want me to set up 1 gigawatt of solar farm, I'll do that. And whatever is the carbon attributes coming out of this project, I'm going to claim them. Now it's up to the government whether they want to capture these carbon attributes in their nationally determined contributions as a part of the Paris Agreement, or they would like to say that okay, you go on with your carbon thingy and do whatever you want, register your project, claim your carbon credits, sell them
Yeah,
off. I am going to uh, allocate 1 gigawatt to somebody else who is not going to, claim carbon credits from anywhere else, because that's how my government, my country, gets to that level of being carbon neutral by 2070. So this is the pathway. So that's how the double accounting cannot happen.
yeah. No, this is a very interesting problem to solve for baseliners, I'm sure. So if people are watching this today or in future, pick up this problem of double counting of carbon credits and try and solve it using baseline. The way I see it, it has been on my head since couple of years now. But the way I see it is that it could be dealt with as NFTs. So you could convert carbon credits to NFTs, and they could carry their attributes along with the token, and as tokens flow, because blockchain transactions are final. So if I have
Yes.
transferred something to you, its ownership changes, and when its ownership has changed and has been accounted for, or I can burn it, I can put in a certain wallet, I can lock it, nobody will be able to use it, but still see it is there. So there are various creative things which can be done
Yeah.
around NFTs, and you would have seen all that news and jazz on various tabloids about NFT market getting really heated up. But I think the tech behind it still remains. It's just the newer applications which people are finding very, very interesting, and I love
Yeah.
it. I love the way it is evolving. Where baselining comes into picture is baselining still helps synchronize the attributes which go along with these NFTs. So, what are these attributes? These attributes are data points. So, there may be data points on one side, then there may be data points on the other side. What if the two sides want to verify certain things? So, you want to grab some water, Archit? It's fine. It's not a news. It's not a news telecast. It's fine. You can have some water. Or as they say in London, water. You can have some water.
Water. Water.
Water, water. So okay, so we made that fun, but do you are you okay?
Yeah, yeah, I'm fine. Go on, go on. It's
Yeah,
just a sore throat since the morning. Yeah.
yeah. So as I was saying, I think it's a it's a pretty I think it's a pretty interesting problem to solve for myself personally. And I will be troubling you on these things, as you said. We should definitely collaborate and find a solution. uh, I was talking about data attributes being synchronized. So if let's say between the buyer and the supplier example that we just took, what if we had a system to synchronize and verify that the supplier has actually done what they are claiming that they've done. So does it exist today? Is there a system that exists today?
Not that much, I would say, because it's either not detailed enough, either it's not verifiable enough. So these are the challenges that are there existing.
Yeah.
But there is no, how do I put it? There is no foolproof solution to it
Okay.
as
So
of
even
now.
if this relies on manual audits, and their manual audits are slow and costly.
Slow, costly, lot of paperwork, a lot of paper trails. You have to spend a lot of man days to just dig into the information that you really, really want to see,
Right.
to arrive at a reasonable level of assurance. Let's say
Right.
so. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So we have some people on the chat. Guys, any questions, or are we good? Should we let Archit move on with his day? So Archit, I've thoroughly enjoyed our chat today. Thank you so much for taking time out, and once again, congratulations on setting up the London office for Earthhood. I hope you guys go to newer heights with the new office. And
New York? Did you say New York? Okay, next one.
newer heights.
No, I get
You
that.
can go to New York Heights for sure. My best wishes for that as well. Um, yeah, and thank you so much for sharing your understanding of the subject and your learnings from COP26. I hope that our paths cross very soon on baseline. For people who are watching us on YouTube, uh, do tune in next Saturday as well. There are announcements coming up on 8th of December. So 8th of December is a very, very important date for Baseline. There is a major, there are actually many, many releases which are now packed into one go, which is 8th of December. And I think after that 8th of December release, people are just going to say Merry Christmas and go off on holidays. So that's why it's sort of all packed up into 8th of December release. So yeah, I am really looking forward to it. There's also going to be a lot of news releases leading up to 8th of December. So do watch out our social media channels and do participate in the discussions which happen on Slack. Once again, go to baseline-protocol.org and get involved. Thank you so much. This is Samrat signing off. Thank you so much, Archit. See you next time. Next time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure discussing this stuff